who I was before. I cannot recall long nights allow me to feel I'm falling. I am falling, the lights go out.
Hey guys, once again, this one's late and the next one will be on time. So this week's topic is depression, and I think for a lot of us, this is a really sensitive topic. Alright, so the questions for the week. Have you struggled with depression? Was it / is it related to your gender identity / dysphoria? Do you think transitioning has helped or complicated it? If you haven't experienced depression, you can discuss overall mental health and well-being. Okay, so have I experienced depression? Yes. I go through like bouts of it. My first kind of episode with it was in grade school, around, I don't know, 6th, 7th grade, and it got really bad once I hit 8th grade. And by really bad, I mean like attempting suicide, kind of bad. And then I was in counseling and it went away, and then I had an episode, I guess it was after my sophomore year of high school. No. Yeah, I guess end of sophomore year. I had another episode. Didn't get as extreme as the first time. But then the worst kind of bout of it I've had was last year, right before I decided that medical transition was really, really necessary. It wasn't entirely related to my gender issues, but I think it, at least the last of the three, that was the focus. The first two was more of kind of social conditions, and just overall nastiness. But the last one, I would say, was really related to my gender, and the kind of struggle I had with whether or not to transition, whether or not I considered myself transgender, etc., etc. Do you think transitioning has helped or complicated it? That's a good question. There are times when, like, I know this was the right thing for me, and I know if I didn't do this when I did, I would be dead. I would be dead. I would have killed myself. But I also know that, in terms of does it help or complicate things, yes and no for both of them. I think transition has severely helped for the fact that I'm still alive, and especially for the fact that I'm becoming more confident in who I am. But it also complicates things in terms of, new relationships and figuring out how you stand in the world and figuring out how to navigate your new social, like how people perceive you, kind of navigating this new, you have to relearn the social construction of interaction, and you have to come to terms with that. Like, you have to re-socialize yourself, and so that is a struggle. When it comes to like your first relationship once you've come out, when it comes to your first relationship once you're on T or had surgery, etc. And also just kind of everyday interactions and, adjusting to the change in how people perceive you. Even though, like, we have this dialogue going on in our heads when we're kind of gearing up for this. And we have to understand that everybody else isn't hearing this long process. And so when we come to the fact that we're ready, we can do it, we're good, let's go. Everybody else, this is their first thought of it. And also, so we get used to the fact of people like having to adjust and things. And then there's those everyday occurrences where you go to the mall or whatever and you've been on T for a little while, like say people are still messing up your name or pronouns once in a while, but you go to the mall and you pass. It still hits you. And I think, a lot of guys who are further in their transition can talk about this, the kind of adjustment to everyday interactions, and then the interactions that, are much more complicated, has to be renegotiated, and eventually with time it comes, but in some, that's something you can get down about. It's something that can spur a lot of anxiety, and which can lead to depression. But in terms of where I'm at right now, I would say I'm in a really good place. Yes, there's still a lot of questions and still a lot of negotiations happening in my head about how I identify and how I want to move on in my life, whether I'm become stealth, not stealth, or the whole issue of disclosure, and how that relates to romantic relationships, or how that relates to friend conditions, and all that kind of stuff. But I would say I'm in a lot better place than I was this time last year. This time last year was probably about when I was starting to kind of come to terms with all this. So, that's my depression video. I hope all you guys are good, on a lighter note. So, yeah, have a good one.